Hey guys, so exciting news. We got the motor back from the machine shop. So I'd like to send a shout out to Ken Ellison over at Ellison's Machine Shop. They're the guys I've been taking my motors to for quite a few years. They do a fantastic job. And Ken actually has a YouTube channel where he talks about his engine builds and various other things. And if I can remember, I'm going to put a put a link in the comment section so you guys can check out Ken's work. He does a fantastic job. So we took the motor in to him just to have the basics done to it. I just wanted it cleaned and minor things done to it. Clean, magnaflux it. Make sure it's in good shape. Make sure that it's square and everything needs to be done with it. So when talking with Ken about it, he and I kind of have an understanding with a lot of the older motors. You don't want to do just the minimal that needs done. You don't want to just start doing decking and line boring and honing and just a bunch of stuff that it doesn't need. He looks at the motor, cleans it, does the measurements, and only does what's necessary to get it back to running, in shape. A lot of guys will want to bore everything out and all this other stuff, and we did have to bore this one out, but we did a very minimal bore on it. It was original specifications on it, and to get it where we needed it to be for the, cylinders to be round and the rings seat and all those good things, he only went 20 thousandths over. Now, if you remember from the videos that I talked about with the other motor that's in the Jeep right now, the one that doesn't run right, it's already 40 thousandths over, and it's been rebuilt a couple of times. This one, we think, is the original motor to the Jeep and had never been taken apart. It's had gaskets replaced and all that, but everything internal looks absolutely original. Even the oil gallery plugs on the outside and the inside looked like stock. So we did just a minimal amount of work. He even kept my motor's numbers in the top of it. I'll do another video, show those again, but there is a video previously where I showed these numbers at, and they're still there. A lot of times when they do the machine work, they'll deck down the top of the block, and they'll shave this down to where those numbers aren't there anymore, but my numbers are still here, which I'm very, very happy with. So you can see it's clean. It's a little bit, it's hard to tell. Got a nice coat of black paint on it. He did a real thin coat on it, which, just to protect it. He wasn't, required to paint it or anything like that. New freeze plugs in it, new oil gallery plugs, which is really nice. We're not using the old square-headed ones. These are actually hex inset ones. If I can move the motor here real quick, one of the things I wanted to point out to you, and I don't know if I can swing it enough in camera. So this first hole right here for the exhaust, I did not realize this when we took the motor apart. We knew that it was missing a bolt. And I was like, well, I'll address that when I get it back. Well, it turns out that this bolt was actually broken off down inside the block, and somebody had already previously tried to drill it out and broken off a screw extractor in that bolt. And Ken and his guys took that all out of there. Actually have the remaining pieces of the tool that they extracted out of that. They threw it all in a bag of everything they took off of it. So I thought that was kind of amusing. But they drilled it out, cleaned it up, and then he helicoiled this hole right here. So it's back to a standard size. I can put, all new studs for the exhaust back in there. That was just one of those cool things that, I didn't specifically ask for him to do, but he looked at the block, looked at what it needed to be done, and did that for us. I hadn't put my cam bearing in. They're really not expensive, and they make a tool to do this, and I talked to him about it before. I was like, well, should I pay you to do it? Or, can I do it? Because you just push it in. That's the short version. But, he had good points. He's like, well, how many of these are you going to replace the cam bearing in? And I'm like, one. And he's like, well, I already have the tool, and I do, a whole bunch of cam bearings, so I'll just do it for you. And he charged, like $15 to do it, and I didn't have to buy a tool, and I don't have to worry about it again. So I just paid him and let him do it since he had it in the shop. All right. So we got it set up here on the engine stand. We were going to start assembly the other day. I have the crank sitting down here on the floor. When they did the work on the crank, and he actually wrote this on. He wrote it on the slip of paper, but actually written on the crank that the main journals are 10 thousandths, well, the 10 thousandths under, and the rods are 20 thousandths. So yeah, that's the amount of grinding and polishing he had to do to get it back within spec. And he gave me those numbers before I ordered bearings so that the bearings would match the connecting rod and the journal sizes properly. So again, I mentioned this before, don't buy bearings, either main bearings or rod bearings, or your pistons and your piston rings until your machine guy tells you what to buy, because until they get done doing the machine work, they don't know if you're going to be 10 thousandths, 20 thousandths. So these are the new bearings that are going to go in there. And looking on the box here, when you buy them, these will tell you they're 20 thousandths. You want to get the ones that match the specifications. A lot of people, when they start building an engine, they'll go in and buy new pistons, new bearings, you know, new rods, all kinds of parts. And then when they're done doing the machine work, none of what they bought matches. So definitely wait until your machine guy tells you the parts to buy. So I got new bearings there. I got main bearings here. I got whole new sets of rings right here. And I took all of this to Ken. He didn't need it, but I took it to him, showed him what I bought, and he looked at the brands and manufacturers, and he could tell that, you know, this is a good brand, that's a good brand, that one, you know, he doesn't know, whatever. And then, since it is 20 thousandths over, we need new pistons, so we have new pistons. And they come with wrist pins. They don't come with the rings, obviously, so we'll put those on. But the pistons, if you look at them, get that on camera, it actually says 0.020. I don't know if that's going to show up well on the camera. There we go. That looks better. So these are 20 thousandths over pistons. They have a little notch in them, so you know when you put it all together that everything's going to point the right way. So they look nice, but you know they're going to be inside the motor. Nobody cares. The other thing that I bought, I don't have the old ones here in my hand, but I have the new ones. We started taking the head apart. So in this particular motor, if you remember, the head has the intake valves in it, and the block over on this other side has the exhaust valves in it. So it's an F head. It's not a flat head, and it's not an overhead valve. It's a mixture of both. So we got new valves. I originally wasn't going to buy new valves. We had the old ones. We were trying to clean them up and take all the corroded, you know, charcoal gunk that was basically hardened onto the valves, clean the stems up. But it was a ton of work, and they really weren't coming clean. Nothing was taken off. We were having to literally scrape them with a file, with, you know, hard, sharp objects. And I really didn't like doing that on the valves, especially when you get close to the seat. I was like, you know, they're only 15 bucks each. It's a little bit of extra expense, but, you know, get the right ones in there now, and I don't have to deal with them later. So I have 4 intake, 4 exhaust. So these should all be a lot easier to deal with. I think I might. These are the intake. The bigger ones are the intake. The smaller ones are the exhaust. It's been a long day. So one of the things I noticed, I don't know if this matters. I don't think it does. On one of the larger valves, see, it's got a flat seat, not the seat, flat edge there. Whereas this one is dished. So 3 of them like this, 1 of them like this. I don't know why, unless it's just different manufacturers. And the smaller ones are the same way. I have one that's got a flat top with a small circle in it, and all of the others have a large flat circle in them. I don't think it matters. I think it's just kind of, you know, whoever manufactured it, and they just have a whole bag of them that they're putting them in. I don't know. I'll go give the guys at Kaiser Willis a call Monday, because it's Friday afternoon after work hours, and see if it matters. I don't think it does. The dimensions of the seals look the same. The length of the stem looks the same. I think it's literally just a different machine shop made them. But like I said, I'll confirm that before I put it all together. So the other thing is, we were going to put this together. Started that conversation, got sidetracked. So we were going to put this together on Tuesday, and we bought a lot of these parts, and we bought gasket set over there. I got a gasket Got a new head gasket. I got a new time cover gasket. I got a new side valve gasket. All that kind of stuff. Forgot the one major piece. We forgot to buy a rear main seal. Obviously, one came out of this motor, but it's old. It's plastics turned, the rubber's turned to hard plastic. It's useless. And I thought when we bought all the parts, we had put rear main seal on the list of stuff to buy, and it didn't. So we called the guys up at Kaiser Willis the other day. They're going to send us one, the original one that we had. When we found out we didn't have one, we called originally. It's on back order, so we called them back again and said, well, do you have a different one? And they did. It's a little bit more expensive, but, we need it, and I don't want to wait 3, 4, 5 months for a back ordered part to come in. I really want to get this engine together. So the new rear main seal is on its way. It was shipped out this morning. I don't know where it's coming from. We should get it early next week. We got a whole pile of other parts. We're ready to do assembly, so hopefully we'll flip this over, at least get the bottom end together, and then we're going to do some more cleaning on the heads. The head's sitting over there on the floor. We actually haven't even taken it apart to clean it yet. I was waiting on the machine shop and then vacation and then other things happened. So, but that should be fairly easy to take care of. It looks like it's in really good shape. So, a good afternoon of cleaning that will get that done. And then hopefully by Christmas, this motor will be back in that Jeep and running. I don't know if it will, but that's the plan. But again, we got the engine here. We got a whole pile of parts. I don't know that I'm going to get anything done this weekend because I really need to get that rear main seal done. But Tuesday, the guys are going to be here. I'll see if I can set the camera up to get some action shots, some time-lapse shots or something with them. Yeah, because I want to show you guys how this goes together. It's going to be kind of a toss-up between slowing down and going slow enough that I can teach the other guys, how to build it, because they really want to learn and, do the camera work and the editing work for you guys, but also get the motor done so we can get it in the truck. I mean, there's videos out there of guys that build these motors. With all the parts on the table and 2 guys, you could build this motor in 45 minutes. It doesn't take long. But that is absolutely guys who've done it about 10,000 times and know each other very well and know, all the movements they need to do to stay out of each other's way. And, there's a few things I need to check on. When they took the crankshaft apart, I didn't plan on small pieces that came apart there. So the gear that goes on the end of it, there's some shims that need to go in there. There's some other pieces that need to be put together in a certain order. And I need to research that and make sure that I get those put back together in the right order, because you don't want to have the shims on the wrong end of the plates and stuff. But I'll go over that when I start working on that part. I've got the camshaft put together over here. It looks like it's in really good shape. I may do a separate video for it because this one's getting a little bit long. But I wanted to share with you guys. We got the motor back. Everything is good on it. It's beautiful. Fantastic work by Ellison's Machine Shop. I'll remember to put a link to those guys down in the comments, and we will talk to you guys later.